Should you buy a house today with the rising interest rates, or should you invest the money instead and rent? Great question. Some people say buy, some people say rent. In this video, I will crunch the numbers and show you what is best for you long term. Hi there, welcome to your channel, The Foreigner in America, where I teach locals and foreigners everything related to money and personal finances, including investing in the markets, cryptos, real estate, and businesses. So if you're someone like myself who wants to achieve greater wealth in life, you don't settle for pennies but for Benjamins, and you love money, please subscribe to this great channel and hit that bell so you don't miss any one of my weekly videos. Also check out my Instagram and TikTok at The Foreigner in America and my blog under the same name. So without further ado, let's begin. So, when the interest rates were below 3%, everyone was going crazy about buying a house. People were bidding over asking price and making cash offers, waiving inspections, and companies were buying properties massively undervalued, fixing them a little bit and reselling them on a profit. All these things were awful for the market. It made it impossible for someone to afford a house in places like Austin, Texas. And I received 10 calls a day and 50 emails and texts asking me if I wanted to sell. Sometimes I'll answer the text with a stupid high price tag, like 200% of appraised value on the house, to see if they were serious. And no response. Half the time there were robots sending all these texts and emails. With the interest rates on mortgages going to 5% and over, people are reconsidering buying homes. Buyers are getting priced out, and companies started to slow down their flipping spree and laying employees off. But property prices are not coming down, and there won't be a crash anytime soon. Even though I see on YouTube many videos of people talking about a crash just to get more followers. For this to work, we need to use a real life example of someone renting an apartment in the heart of the city, great location, small space, and compare that to getting a house in the same area. More space and same location. If you rent in the heart of the city and then you move to the middle of nowhere and are miserable to buy, then that's not apples to apples. Buying a house shouldn't make your life miserable. It should make it better. So we have John the buyer and James the renter. They both make $100,000 gross income per year. And John puts money into a mortgage while James rents an apartment and invests the rest of the money into an index fund. I used an index fund because it's easier to do the math. So John the buyer bought a $400,000 house in the city with a 20% down. Closing costs and fees turn up to be $85,000 down and a payment of $2,676 per month, including property taxes and insurance. And this house appreciates 5% every year. James, the renter, rents an apartment in the city for $1,600 a month. The rents are expected to go up 5% every year. These numbers are not far from reality in the city of Houston, Texas, where property tax is around 2.5%. So James grabs the difference of $2,676 minus $1,600, which is $1,076, and invests this in an account of index funds. If you tell me James's rent is going up every year, so he wouldn't be able to invest the same amount of money, I will tell you John's property tax is also going up every year. So to make it simple, we will keep the same numbers constant for 30 years. Before I run the numbers, I need to say that in order for John to afford buying the home in the first place, he needed to have an $85,000 in cash on hand and have a debt to income ratio of 33% or lower on his monthly gross income. So this means that in order for him to afford a payment of $2,676 per month, he needs to make 3 times that, or $8,028 per month, or $96,333 a year, which he's just there with $100,000. James, the renter, in order to rent his apartment, he needs to make 3 times income as well. So 1,600 times 3 is 4,800 or 57,600 per year, and he's well over that with $100,000. So affording a house needs a lot more money than affording an apartment in the same location. If you go live in the middle of nowhere in a crappy house with no roof, you will be miserable and don't even talk to me. So this is where it gets interesting. And what people should consider when you want to rent forever and be free from a mortgage. Is the house appreciation better, or is it the investment better? If you don't invest anything, then buying a house is your only option. After 30 years and running these very simple numbers, assuming that the amount John, the buyer, pays extra every year in property tax is the same as what James, the renter, pays in rent, so the difference is always $1,076 per month, to invest in the fund, assuming an 8% return in the stock market, and assuming that everything else stays constant, which you know is in real life is very complex. These are the results. John, the buyer, will own a house fair and square in 30 years that appreciated 5% every year and is now worth $1,728,776.95, according to this calculator here. Forget about whether the roof needed repair or the plumbing had to be changed. These are simple numbers. James, the renter, will not own a house, but he has an index fund he opened 30 years ago with $85,000, which is the money he would have spent on a down payment and fees, and added $1,076 every month for 30 years at an interest rate of 8%. Ready? That account is now worth $2,380,677.69. That is a difference of $651,900.74 from what John's house is worth. So you automatically say, renting is much better. Wait a minute, not so fast. Stay with me. John, the buyer, does not have to pay a mortgage, right, anymore, just the property taxes and insurance of the house, while James still has to pay rent. Let's analyze that. If the house is worth $1.728 million at a property tax rate of 2.5% in Texas, that property will pay $45,792 per year. Don't panic. That is a very weak dollar in 30 years, not dollars today. James, the renter, will pay a rent that appreciated 5% every year for 30 years. So it went from $1,600 to almost $7,000 per month, and that's $84,000 per year. That's almost $40,000 per year more than John, the buyer. If James, the renter, pulled the money out of the index fund and put it into a bank account with 0% interest, which I don't know why he would do that, but let's imagine he did, it will take him 16 years to burn that extra money he got from investing in an index fund versus buying a home. So, if John and James were both 30, John pays off the house at 60. It will take him 16 more years until age 76 to start losing money from renting compared to what John has in equity, minus the property taxes. So, before you start questioning my numbers, there are a million variables here that could dramatically change the output of this calculation. What is the final verdict? Financially speaking, it doesn't make sense to buy a house if you can rent a cheap apartment and invest all the money you can in an index fund that mimics the S&P 500 long term for 30 years. The problem here is that not everything is financial when buying a house. In an apartment, you face multiple problems: annoying neighbors, noise complaints, leasing office rules, lack of space, lack of privacy, rents bumping a lot more than 5% every year, having to move because something happened that you didn't like, not having your own parking space, etc., etc. As you grow older and older, living in an apartment makes less and less sense, and you start getting annoyed by everything. Some people might be happy living in an apartment until they're 90 years old. Some people sell their house and move to an apartment and enjoy their equity as their retirement. Some people rent their home and move to an apartment. So, financially speaking, you make more money by not buying, renting a cheap apartment in a perfect location, and investing every single dollar you can in an index fund. Now, if you invested in rental real estate or specific stocks or cryptos or businesses that you can get a 20%, 30% return instead of the miserable 8% of the index fund, then buying a house is a terrible financial idea. So, if you're someone like me that even knowing that buying a house doesn't make financial sense, you enjoy it. Like you enjoy driving a nice car, a nice sound system, nice engine, the sound of the exhaust, the looks of the ladies when you drive by, even though you know it's a horrible expense and it doesn't make financial sense, well, owning a house and being free to do as you please is also something that you will appreciate. I don't care if it doesn't make you rich, it makes you happy. Just make sure you stay in the 33% or less debt to income ratio, and make sure you have the right insurance and home warranty and a good inspection so you don't fall into a money pit. If you rent a house and you pay the same as buying one, then renting is a terrible idea. Buy immediately before rates and prices keep going up. But remember, take control of your life and take control of your money. So thanks a lot for watching this video. If you enjoyed it and found useful information, give me a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you watch all my videos as soon as they come out. So have a great day, don't lose any money, and I'll see you next time.